I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna put it out there. If he's handling Twitter like this, I don't know how comfortable I would be going with this dude to Mars. You know? Yeah, I don't want Elon walking into my cabin one day like, hey guys, turns out I accidentally fired the team that was bringing the oxygen. But we'll be fine if we just stop breathing for 69 months.
The whole country is a fire festival right now, and Elon Musk is soaking the mattresses. It is so much worse than I think anyone imagined it might be. Elon and his musketeers, you probably heard, they sent an email to all federal employees ordering them to list 5 things they did at work last week. Trump loved this idea. He said it was genius, and he said anyone who didn't respond to the email would be fired or semi-fired, which, what if that was his catchphrase on The Apprentice? Meatloaf.
Imagine thinking you're the king of the internet, only to get roasted so hard by Trevor Noah and Jimmy Kimmel that even your Tesla tried to drive away from you. Today, Elon Musk isn't launching rockets. He's launching tantrums. What did Trevor and Jimmy say that made Elon completely lose it? Grab your popcorn because this meltdown is more explosive than a SpaceX rocket test. Stick around, you're not going to believe how bad it gets.
You know, this whole thing happening with Elon Musk and Twitter reminds me of, I think it was Mike Tyson who had that line where he said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. Because now it feels like Elon Musk is just like scrambling, making it up as he goes along, which I get. You've spent $44 billion for a company that most people say shouldn't be more than worth like 20-something billion. You're gonna scramble, you know? And he's trying everything. What's amazing to me is like what's happening with Elon Musk is a wonderful microcosm to show you how much or how quickly people will abandon what they say is a principle when things aren't going their way.
Welcome to Elon Musk's week, where the man who once dreamed of colonizing Mars can't even survive a roast on Earth. It all started, as all Elon Musk disasters do, with Elon being Elon. He strutted online thinking he was untouchable, tossing out half-baked memes, self-congratulatory posts, and weird political rants like confetti at a parade only he attended. And if you're wondering, yes, it was as sad as it sounds. You could practically hear the Wi-Fi sighing in exhaustion.
Like this weekend, a young guy came up to me, very nice guy. He said, "You got no love for Elon, bro?" And I was like, I said, "No, I don't, but it's not just Elon specifically. I have a problem with any richest man in the world who comes to this country to casually slander a doctor who devoted his entire life to protecting our children from HIV and COVID and Zika and swine flu and Ebola disease while you're off playing grab ass with Trump and firing rockets into space to prove your penis works."
But little did the self-proclaimed chief twit know, Trevor Noah and Jimmy Kimmel had just clocked into work, and they were not in the mood to let Elon have his usual pity party without turning it into a public event. First up on the humiliation train, Trevor Noah. Now, Trevor didn't just roast Elon. No, he treated Elon like an overcooked Thanksgiving turkey, dry, slightly burnt, and way too full of hot air. With surgical precision, Trevor painted Elon not as some visionary rebel, but as what he truly is, the world's richest midlife crisis, cosplaying as Tony Stark.
Say what you want, Elon Musk has done more to push EVs than any other human being. Elon went from being the guy who's like, I don't get involved in politics, and I just think that it's good for us to look at both sides and try to find ourselves in a space where we're not exactly looking at like what has happened. And he was that guy.
Yeah.
The best part, Trevor did it so smoothly you almost felt bad. Almost. It wasn't the loud, punchy roast you'd expect. It was a slow, cold dismantling, like watching someone peel a rotten onion layer by embarrassing layer until all that's left is a pile of memes and court summons. And what was Elon's response to being treated like a joke on national television? Oh, buckle up, because this is where it gets fun.
I think social media dramatically changed our perception of where people sit in reality. It gave us a flattened view of people because that's what gets the algorithm, it's what ropes us in. So I will see the worst of you because the worst of you is what inflames me the most. Or I'll only see the best of you because it attaches me to you. But the nuance it's boring. And they show you this with the algorithms. Like if you sit down with the engineers, they'll show you, if somebody writes, "It's a lovely day outside," it'll go nowhere. If you say "best day ever," it goes somewhere. And if you say "worst day ever," it goes somewhere.
Elon, master of strategic thinking and galaxy brain chess moves, decided the best course of action was to have a toddler-level meltdown on Twitter. First came the petty jabs, calling comedians irrelevant, attacking late-night TV as dead, and reposting ancient memes so outdated they should be in a museum next to rotary phones and Blockbuster memberships. If there was any doubt Elon was spiraling, it evaporates faster than Tesla's stock price after a bad earnings call. And just when you thought the situation couldn't get more embarrassing, Jimmy Kimmel entered the arena like a man who had been waiting his whole life for this moment. Where Trevor was clever and surgical, Jimmy was gleeful and savage. He treated Elon like an open mic night gone wrong, roasting him not just for his endless failures, but for the sheer audacity of pretending he's still the cool guy while everything he touches turns into a flaming clown car. Jimmy didn't hold back. He joked about Elon's brilliant free speech absolutism, which, if you've been paying attention, mostly involves banning anyone who slightly hurts his feelings, because nothing says free speech hero like blocking journalists, comedians, and teenagers who track your private jet.
And then we have our bromander-in-chief, Elon Musk, who is reportedly planning to give $100 million to 2 Trump super PACs. And I'm sure the gift has nothing to do with the fact that Trump had a press conference to tell us about Tesla's low finance options. Has a quid ever been pro-quoed more than this one? The guy in charge of government efficiency just spent $100 million to sell Trump a $90,000 car. Is that, I mean, I'm sure that if Joe Biden had put George Soros in charge of the government, and then George had given Joe $100 million in exchange for hopping into a new Kia Soros, Republicans would have been very cool with it.
He also casually pointed out how Tesla's autopilot crashes more often than Elon's brain-to-tweet filter. Honestly, it was so brutal that somewhere in the distance, a Cybertruck probably shed a single steel-plated tear. At this point, Elon's meltdown wasn't just happening, it was escalating at a speed that even a SpaceX rocket would envy. He started flinging half-baked insults left and right, posting conspiracy theories like a drunk uncle at Thanksgiving, and desperately trying to pivot attention to literally anything else. UFOs? Check. Ancient aliens? Why not? The woke mind virus? Triple check. In true Elon fashion, he tried to rally his fanboys by playing the eternal victim card. It's the same strategy he pulls every time he gets mildly roasted, as if being a billionaire with a $1 trillion ego is somehow the same as being a bullied high schooler with a bad haircut. But here's the thing about comedy. It doesn't care how rich you are. It doesn't care how many satellites you've launched or how many people you've laid off from your disastrous Twitter acquisition. Comedy has one rule. If you take yourself too seriously, you're going to get clowned hard. And Elon? He takes himself so seriously he probably has a secret shrine to himself somewhere, complete with a velvet rope and dramatic lighting.
Wondered if this is part of the reason we have the Elon Musk we have today, because Biden holds a summit at the White House, an EV summit, but he doesn't invite Elon Musk. Do you think that that was a seminal moment in the Musk that we get today?
I think that was kind of the beginning of this version of Musk. And of course, there are other stories, like, again, the story that you all talked about Musk's, trans daughter and Musk's own, like, sort of his person. I think all that also applies.
This wasn't just 2 comedians throwing jokes. This was Elon getting exposed for the one thing his PR team has tried desperately to cover up. He's not funny. He's not cool. He's not some misunderstood genius. He's just a very rich guy who thinks being rich automatically makes him relatable, interesting, and edgy. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. Meanwhile, Trevor Noah and Jimmy Kimmel were doing what they do best, using Elon's own absurdity against him. No need to exaggerate when Elon himself was busy lighting the matches and holding the gas can. The funniest part? Elon kept feeding them material. Every panicked post, every cringeworthy meme, every rage tweet was basically a kick me sign he taped to his own back. And the comedians? Oh, they kicked. They kicked like they were trying to win a World Cup. Somewhere along the way, even Elon's loyalists started cringing. When your biggest supporters are looking at your timeline and wondering if you've been microdosing paint thinner, you know you've taken a wrong turn somewhere. And let's be clear, this wasn't just a bad look for Elon. This was catastrophic. Elon's whole public image, the cool disruptor, the edgy genius, the meme lord, depends on the illusion that he's in on the joke, that he's playing 4D chess while the rest of us are stuck on checkers.
35% of Americans have a positive view of Elon Musk. 53% view him negatively, and 12% felt it would be inappropriate to respond because they are currently pregnant with one of his children. But some people are getting active with their protests, if you want to call it that. And as a result, a lot of people who own Tesla cars have been trying to disguise their vehicles to avoid confrontations and vandalism. Somebody pulled the Tesla logo off their Model X and replaced it with the Mazda logo. This is now an Audi. This one is a Subaru. People are even trying to disguise their Cybertrucks. That's like trying to pass off Chewbacca for a Chihuahua. It doesn't seem...
But when you explode into a frothing rage because two comedians make fun of you on late-night TV, you don't look like a 4D chess master. You look like a guy who lost a game of Connect 4 and flipped the board. At this point, Trevor and Jimmy could have just walked away. They could have let Elon self-destruct without lifting another finger. But no, being true professionals, they decided to twist the knife just a little more. Trevor, cool as ever, pointed out that Elon has somehow managed to make space exploration boring, an achievement previously thought impossible. Congratulations, Elon. You turned the dream of reaching Mars into a never-ending thread of terrible dad jokes and petty feuds. Jimmy Kimmel, not to be outdone, described Elon's online persona as one long, very expensive midlife crisis. And honestly, if Elon ever gets a new biography, that should be the title. Forget Elon Musk, Tesla, SpaceX, and the quest for a fantastic future. The real story is Elon Musk billionaire baby with Wi-Fi. And the cherry on top? As Elon kept spiraling, Trevor and Jimmy just got funnier. Because here's the thing, good comedy doesn't require much when the subject keeps handing you gold-plated disasters to work with. Elon's inability to laugh at himself turned him into a walking punchline, a living, breathing before picture in an ad for therapy.
Then we have Mr. Congeniality, Elon Musk, who's been lying low as of late and reportedly wants to get out of Doge. Musk says he will dial back his work with the government so that he can spend more time with all 10 of his families. People forget, Elon, he can't spend all his time in Washington. He has a company to run to the ground. In the first 3 months of this year, Tesla's profits have fallen 71%, which I guess is what happens when your CEO turns into white Kanye before your eyes. But I don't know about this plan. He might as well stay. I'm really not sure going back to Tesla is going to help anything at all. The reason Tesla is tanking is because people hate him and they don't want to buy his stuff. Him being back is not going to make it better. What he needs to do is sell Tesla to someone more likable, like chlamydia or AIDS.
Meanwhile, the internet was having a field day. Memes exploded. TikToks were made. Threads roasted him from every angle. Elon's attempt to fight back only fueled the fire, like trying to put out a grease fire by throwing more oil on it. Smooth move, space cowboy. It's almost poetic, really. Elon Musk, the man who prides himself on being ahead of the curve, got clowned in real time by two guys with microphones and a few writers' rooms. No spaceships required, no Dogecoin scams needed, just pure, undiluted humiliation served fresh on late-night television. And the real kicker? This wasn't even about politics. It wasn't about ideology. It wasn't about left or right or center. It was about the simple, timeless truth. When you act like an untouchable tech messiah but behave like a spoiled teenager with Wi-Fi, you're going to get roasted, and you're going to deserve every single flame. By the end of the week, Elon wasn't looking like a daring disruptor. He was looking like that guy at the party who insists he's just playing devil's advocate 5 minutes before getting thrown into a bush. The chief twit, indeed. Self-proclaimed titles always age like milk. And if you're wondering whether Elon learned anything from all this, of course not. Self-awareness isn't something you can buy, no matter how many Twitter polls you rig.
Of course, Elon Musk is a great believer in free speech as long as it isn't critical of him in any way. That's one of the things he and Trump have in common. Trump right now is suing 60 Minutes and CBS because he didn't like the way they edited an interview with Kamala Harris. As if it matters, he beat her, she's gone. But he is suing them for $20 billion for this.
Instead, he doubled down, because of course he did. He posted increasingly desperate memes. He teased new ventures that nobody asked for. He tried to pivot to AI, to robots, to underground tunnels that definitely aren't glorified subways. Anything to distract from the fact that two comedians had just pantsed him on live TV, and the world was loving every second. It's honestly impressive how badly you can lose when you're worth hundreds of billions of dollars. Like, you have everything: money, power, influence, and you still manage to become the internet's favorite piñata. At the end of the day, Elon Musk's biggest enemy isn't Trevor Noah. It's not Jimmy Kimmel. It's not even the mysterious woke mind virus he's always ranting about between bad memes. Elon Musk's biggest enemy is Elon Musk, a man so allergic to being laughed at that he'd rather torch his own reputation than admit even once that maybe, just maybe, he deserved to be the butt of the joke. And honestly, that's the funniest part of all. Now go ahead, pick your fighter, Team Trevor or Team Jimmy. Cast your votes in the comments before Elon tries to ban voting on YouTube too. Because with Elon, anything's possible, except apparently taking a joke.
I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to be blunt here. Elon Musk is running Twitter into the ground. And it's the best Twitter's ever been. Are you kidding me? Huh? Fake LeBron leaving LA, Mario flipping the bird, huh? George Bush telling us how he really feels. The thing is an absolute train wreck, and I'm here for it. The only reason we know that that wasn't the real Mario was because Mario would never flip someone the bird. He's Italian. Come on. Yeah, he'd probably do this, right? Or this. It's like, hey, Koopa, tell your mother I said hello, huh?
And speaking of disasters wearing billion-dollar hoodies, let's take a deeper look at why Elon is struggling with comedy. Because, folks, it's like watching a robot try to do stand-up after someone poured coffee on its motherboard. See, comedy is built on self-awareness. It's the ancient, mystical art of knowing you're ridiculous and playing along. Elon, on the other hand, has the self-awareness of a traffic cone. The man could trip over his own ego and still blame the sidewalk for being jealous. When comedians start tossing punches, normal humans laugh, clap, maybe even fire back with some banter. Elon clutches his pearls, drafts a 17-tweet thread about free speech, and calls a meeting with SpaceX's PR team. And that's the real problem. You can't control the joke and the punchline. Once you're the target, you're either the chill person who laughs, or you're the guy in the corner angrily Googling how to look cool after massive public humiliation. Elon chose violence against his own dignity. The simple formula here is take yourself way too seriously. Plus, have a Twitter addiction divided by the inability to laugh at yourself. And voila, you're the star of every late-night monologue. Trevor and Jimmy didn't have to dig deep. Elon practically served himself up like a sad turkey on a silver platter. All they had to do was carve. The beauty of comedy is that it thrives on people who think they're above the joke. If you act like the king of Mars but have the emotional resilience of a soggy paper towel, congratulations. You are officially free-range material for every comic with a microphone. And Elon, bless his overclocked heart, provided a Costco-sized supply of cringe this week. You could almost hear the collective sigh of gratitude from every comedy writer in America. Thank you, Space Karen. Thank you for making our job so easy. But oh no, the humiliation tour wasn't over yet, because just when Elon thought the storm had passed, Trevor and Jimmy decided to take a victory lap and absolutely dunked on him again. Jimmy Kimmel, ever the master of the casual annihilation, leaned back in his chair, grinned, and casually referred to Elon as a walking midlife crisis. That's it. That's the roast. No elaborate setup. Just a direct hit, like throwing a brick through a stained glass window titled Self-Respect. Somewhere in Texas, a Tesla Cybertruck wept silently in a showroom. Meanwhile, Trevor Noah, sensing blood in the water like the comedy shark he is, added his own savage uppercut. He joked that Elon had finally achieved the impossible. He made space travel boring. Think about that. Space travel. The thing that made kids want to become astronauts, the thing that sparked countless sci-fi movies, now has the same energy as a mandatory staff meeting on a Friday afternoon. Welcome to Mars. Please mute yourself unless you have a question. And honestly, it's true. Elon's original pitch was to make humanity multiplanetary. Now it feels more like make humanity mildly annoyed and stuck in a group chat about Dogecoin. By the time Trevor and Jimmy were done, Elon wasn't just roasted. He was deep-fried, flash-frozen, and served with a side of public embarrassment. Now, he's the guy who picks fights with comedians and loses to punchlines written during coffee breaks. The ultimate irony? You can build rockets powerful enough to escape Earth's gravity, but you still can't escape a comedy roast. No matter how many Teslas you launch into orbit, no matter how many times you call yourself a free speech absolutist, the moment you start throwing tantrums over late-night jokes, it's over. Turns out, Elon didn't need to land on Mars to meet alien life. He just had to look in the mirror after Trevor Noah and Jimmy Kimmel finished roasting him. And there it was, staring back, a life form that takes itself way, way too seriously.